They say my mother died with a tear in her eye and my name on her lips. I never knew her, but her absence was the first shadow that stretched over my life. My father, a wealthy and respected man in our village, never spoke much about her death. He only looked out at the sky some evenings with an emptiness in his eyes, whispering to the wind. In my earliest memories, I was a happy child. My father doted on me. I remember him combing my hair with thick, calloused hands and carrying me high on his shoulders. The women of the village would smile as we passed, whispering about how much I looked like my mother. I would smile, not knowing the weight of that truth. But even the happiest beginnings can turn. As I grew older, my father, burdened by work and grief, decided that I needed a mother. That's when she came, the woman who would change everything. The day Papa brought her home, the sky clouded over, and the birds grew silent. She was striking, no doubt, a beauty wrapped in bright wrappers, her face calm and smiling. But behind that smile was something cold. Something that washed. At first, she pretended. She called me my dear, and braided my hair with delicate fingers. But her kindness soon faded. The chores began small, fetch this, sweep that. Then came the punishments, the long stares, the slaps that landed faster than I could cry. Papa never noticed. He was always traveling, chasing trade and dreams. At night, I would cry into my mat, alone in a house that no longer felt like home. Why are you standing there like a ghost? Have you swept the compound? She snapped one morning. But I already did this morning. Slap. Do it again. This time, like someone who wants to eat in this house. They say a house with many children is filled with laughter. But in my father's compound, laughter only lived in one corner, and it never reached mine. My stepmother gave birth to 2 children. A boy, Obina, and a girl, Adis. From the moment they cried their first cries, the house changed. The compound that once echoed with my small footsteps now trembled under the weight of favoritism. She fed them the finest meals, meat-laced soups, fresh palm oil, rice with stew. I was fed last, and only if something was left. I was older, yet I was made their servant. I fetched water for their baths, tied their wrappers, cleaned their mess, even fanned them when the weather was hot. Obina. Adiz, she'd call sweetly. Come, eat first. You must not suffer like some people's children. Then she'd turn sharply to me. You. What are you standing there for? Sweep the floor again, can't you see it's dusty? Sometimes, my step-siblings would mock me as I walked. Adiz would wrinkle her nose and say, you always smell like charcoal and sweat. Obina would laugh, mouth full of meat, Mommy says you were born to walk. My hands grew rough before my age. I had cuts that never healed properly. My back ached from bending too long. I started to shrink inside myself. The house I once knew became a place of silent chores and louder silence. One afternoon, I remember walking into the kitchen, barefoot and tired, when I heard my stepmother scolding a housemaid. Why should my children do housework? What do I feed this girl for? She barked. Then she turned to me. Didn't you hear your name? Go and fetch water. And don't come back until that pot is full. But it's almost night, I murmured. Slap. Next time, don't talk back. Tears welled in my eyes, but I turned away quickly. I had learned not to cry in front of her, it gave her satisfaction. That night, while crouching by the stream, I asked the moon if it had a mother. I asked the wind if it had siblings. And I asked myself if this was how the rest of my life would be, unseen, unheard, unwanted. But life has strange ways of listening when you think no one else is. Something would change. Soon. She began sending me to the stream at night. Go, and don't return until the pot is full, she'd say, no matter how late. My feet would shiver against the earth. The frogs croaked warnings, and the trees whispered fear into the darkness. One night, as I trudged back with my heavy pot, I saw something glimmering in the moonlight, a single Udala fruit lying on the path. I picked it up, curious, and sucked its seed. The taste was sweet and warm, almost like comfort. The next morning, I buried the seed near a quiet corner behind our compound. I didn't tell anyone. It was mine. My secret. Grow, I whispered, pressing the dirt gently. Please grow. Maybe if you grow, something in my life will too. From that tiny seed came a sprout. And from the sprout came a tree. Every day, I visited it, sang to it, and watered it with tears when I had nothing else. When I was beaten, I went to the tree. When I was hungry, it grew a single fruit, just for me. The more I cried beneath it, the more it grew, faster than any normal tree. Udala, Udala, tree of my soul. Grow high, grow full, make my belly whole. That became my lullaby. The tree became my mother, my sister, my secret world. When I touched its bark, I felt warmth. When I rested beneath its branches, I felt safe. One afternoon, I returned from the stream, balancing the heavy pot on my head, only to hear giggles and rustling above. There they were, my step-siblings, climbing my Udala tree and plucking its fruits. Rage and betrayal surged through me. I dropped the pot and began to sing, tears mixing with sweat. Udala, Udala, rise to the sky. Let those who steal be left up high. The tree obeyed. It rose, slowly but steadily. The siblings screamed as the branches lifted them higher and higher, far above the ground. My stepmother came running, shouting, crying. Please. Let them down, she pleaded. I didn't know, please forgive them. I stood in silence for a long time. Finally, I sang again. Udala, Udala, kind and wise. Lower your limbs and hear their cries. The tree sang gently, and my step-siblings scrambled down, weeping. From that day, fear filled their eyes whenever they looked at me. Word spread like fire. The girl controls spirits. She made the tree grow tall. She must be a witch. Children stopped playing with me. Women crossed the path when I walked by. The village feared me. Papa returned and heard the rumors. He came to the compound, eyes filled with confusion and hurt. She's not a child, my stepmother said. That tree obeys her. It's not natural. She is my child, he replied. And maybe that tree is the only thing that's ever loved her truly. He gathered my things in silence. We are leaving, he said, voice shaking. Papa took me to my mother's village. The people there wept when they saw me. You look just like her, they said. They fed me. They listened to me. They held me like I mattered. I slept without fear. I ate until I was full. But my heart ached for the tree. I missed its shelter. Its sweetness. Its silence. One day, I whispered to the wind, do you think it misses me too? I returned weeks later, quietly, without telling anyone. The tree stood taller than ever, its branches thick with golden fruit. It shimmered in the sunlight like a monument. I knelt beside it and pressed my cheek to its bark. Thank you, I whispered. For saving me. For feeding me. For seeing me. The tree swayed gently, and a single fruit fell into my hand. It was warm, like love. Years passed. The village changed. They no longer feared the tree. Instead, they built a small fence around it. They said it was sacred. That only the pure could eat its fruit. Children played under it now. Elders told tales of the Udala girl. They didn't know she still lived. That she still visited. I stood under its shade one morning, older, stronger, oh. You were the mother I never had, I whispered. The sister I never met. The home I longed for. And in the rustle of its leaves, I heard it whisper back. You were never alone.